Hello and welcome to Portia, Raw and Real. This is the podcast that comes after you have watched the Portia show. We get to do a little bit of a deeper dive in the conversations with some of the guests who were kind enough to share their stories and open up on the Portia show. But here we get to take a little bit closer look at some of the stories. So it is really exciting today to have three women who are really very candid about the need to detach and detox and decompress, right? We all have things that we're stressing about during the day and things that are keeping us up at night, but sometimes you just have to sit down someplace and recognize that we're going to just pause and figure out how we're going to sort through all of this, as opposed to just staying on the thingamajig, the hamster wheel. See, that's because I haven't sat down and took a break and de-stress. So we're going to get off this hamster wheel and talk about what we're going to do today. So I've got three incredible women with me today. Nurse Tamara Dillard. Hello. Hi. So good to see you. And Sadie Mae Evans, hello, an author, and Dr. Bernadette Anderson. And it is not by chance, I think, at all. I think it is divine intervention that we have two women in healthcare who spend your lives caring for others, talking about the fact that we don't always take good care of ourselves, right? So first, just tell me just a little bit about yourself, what you do. I know you've got books. Tell me a little bit more about yourself, Nurse Tamara.
So I am the founder of Opulent Home Care. We provide in-home care services to support the entire family. Mm-hmm. And it is incredibly, it's an oxymoron that we provide service to support the family and give them a break when I don't take a break.
You don't give yourself a break. You service everybody, everything except yourself.
Except for myself.
And you have three sons.
And I have three sons.
So I'm just going to salute you on that, because I know that's a house full.
It is.
And that's a lot.
It's
a joy.
It's a lot. But I love what I do. And Opulent is here promoting supportive care to be self-care. And we provide, a lot of volunteer work in the community as well. And I bring the boys into that.
Good. That's good.
And so, I'm a service first person. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I've neglected taking care of myself. So I wrote into the show to find a way to pare down some of the things that I put ahead of caring for myself.
Yeah, you pared them down very well. We're going to get to what you said in that email that had the entire team. We were like, oh my gosh, we've got to have this woman on the show because she's speaking to what all of us are dealing with. Sadie Mae Evans, author. Tell me the name of your book and why you wrote it.
So my book is called The Power We Hold and is Discovering Your Authentic Self. And the reason why I wrote it is because I realized that a lot of individuals struggle to access the power and maintain the power that we hold as individuals, especially as women.
And sometimes we just act like we don't even have any power. We're just floating through life, responding to and reacting to.
Exactly,
right?
Yes.
And Dr. Bernadette Anderson, you also wrote a book, and I love it because it's got 52 prescriptions for getting through, one for every week.
Yes.
Unless you need a little bit more time.
Absolutely. The book is fulfilled 52 prescriptions for healing, health, and happiness. And it's my way of expanding health, because we always talk about the physical, but the health is mind, body, and spirit. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times people come into the office with a physical complaint that stems from a spiritual or a mental complaint.
Yeah.
So
well said. And I know I want to kind of lock in on this topic, fulfilled. That's the cover of the book, right? But you say that you were not always fulfilled. You were living unhappily, unhealthily. You were there were a lot of uns.
Yes.
You were, just feeling undervalued, just all of these things. Give me just our listeners just a couple of examples of some of the things that you were really, really struggling with.
Yes, one of the things that I struggled with was a long time was my weight. had tipped the scale at over 300 pounds at one time in my life. And people thought it was just because I was overeating. But the problem was I was eating away my stress. I was eating away my pain and my hurt and my disappointments in life. And so I had to learn that I needed to face those things head on and deal with them so that I could, it doesn't matter what type of diet you're on or what type of exercise program you're doing. If you don't deal with the root cause, then you're still going to be struggling. It's going to be a challenge for you.
Right. And thank you for your candor there. You also talk about in your book dealing with feelings of neglect and abandonment by your father.
Yes.
Something a lot of boys and girls
absolutely
struggle with.
Right. The thing is, my father and I, we had the generic, let me go over your house every other weekend type situation. But the thing was, there was no connection when we did meet every other weekend. Wow. So it didn't take care of me feeling like I was being neglected, not seen, and not heard by him. And I internalized that. And so that was a part of my going to the freezer for Haagen-Dazs instead of dealing with where I was coming from.
That's honest. That's honest. We were trying to find some medications in the refrigerator, and there's nothing in there but calories.
Yes.
But the calories sometimes take the edge off, right? If we're being honest. Sadie Mae, for you, give me an example of something that our listeners can relate to, the struggle that you had to get through.
So when I transitioned to Georgia, I was in a really, I would say, a dark space. Like, I had lost my grandmother, I had lost my relationship, and I was a single mother. So I was just trying to figure out, who am I outside of all these titles? Like, how do I find Sadie again? And I feel like a lot of individuals carry these many titles, and they don't even know their identity outside of the titles that they carry. So then they hit rock bottom, and they don't know where to go from there.
That sounds, in every decade, every chapter of our lives, right? From teens to 20s, 30s, 40s, it's something we deal with. Now, Nurse Tamara, I want to get back to this email that you sent us that made us all go, did you see that email from that lady Tamara? There were 3 things that you really honed in and just narrowed down so well. It was procrastination peril, perfectionist peril, and martyrdom madness. I was like, is this woman in my diary? Like, is she in my journal? What is she doing? Where do you begin? First of all, what a beautiful way that you can even journal it like that. And then you don't even journal.
Right. I do write. I don't watch TV as much because I spend a lot of time writing. Although I don't really call it journaling. I just have notebooks all over the place. But I should probably
That's
have.
There's journaling.
I guess.
But
so.
you want to have the same one,
True.
so that you can reach for it and get up and write and go to write before you go to bed and look back on your thoughts.
That's true.
The issues, though, that you were dealing with, you touched on it somewhat, mom, and sort of have feeling like you've got to, service everyone.
Exactly.
But the martyrdom, tell me more.
That's more of me putting myself last, to sacrifice myself to be there for everyone else. And I think that stems from being a nurse.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why I became a nurse, is because I know that I can put myself last to take care of other people.
Yeah.
I'm just used to doing that. I've been in healthcare for 25 years. And
thank you.
Thank you for that.
As the daughter of a nurse, I appreciate the stress that you are under and managing patient care and everything else. Let's talk about the perfectionist peril, because I think that's something every woman can really relate to as well. You feel like if you're coming up short, either as a wife, a mother, as an employee, as a friend, as a sister, all these things, you feel like, I'm wasting my gifts, or I'm not showing up.
Right. I do struggle with being a perfectionist. And I even had a consultant that, drives home. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I struggle with delegating because I feel like I'm the one who has to touch it at least last, before it goes out. And so I do need to work on that.
And I get that from a supervisory role, but at some point what point do you recognize, I don't have to I don't have to put my hands on all of it.
Right.
Like, Lil, that's a question for you. Like, when are you going to get to that point?
I don't know.
You're still working on that.
I'm still working on that. Even in the home, with my sons.
Yeah.
I hear it from them when they're like, when they're finishing a project or working on something, they're like, how does this look? And I realize, oh, I've done it to the point that they've said, how does this look, for things that they don't need to do it.
Interesting. Dr. Anderson, I want to come back around to you because you're also very candid about an issue that a lot of women deal with. I don't want to even say struggle with, but some women do not get married, do not have children, sometimes by choice, sometimes it's just this is where things landed. And that was for you. Those were challenges for you, right?
Yes. For me, I come from a single mom who wanted me to put my career first, be able to stand on your own 2 feet because she knew how it would be, and you're not guaranteed to be married. So I focused on my career. But here's the thing, after you get the career and you said no so many times and you're like, okay, now I'm here, I have the career, and where did I go wrong? Because I'm here by myself, Right. And so I have definitely my faith, have prayed and asked God for direction and wisdom in that area of my life, but it's definitely something that I haven't given up on. Yeah. But it's not here yet.
It's not here yet.
Yes.
Are you at a point though where you're comfortable in the skin you're in? You are understanding.
Absolutely.
I didn't do anything wrong.
Absolutely. I am very comfortable. I feel like it's a blessing when it comes, but if it doesn't for me in this season, then I'm okay with it because I've enjoyed my journey and I feel very blessed to be where I am.
Yeah. Sadie, you spoke to the concept of moving to Georgia from Nebraska. I mean, big change already just because we're going from Nebraska to Georgia, right? But without the man that you thought you were going to be in a relationship, without the grandmother, how important are personal relationships and is an intimate relationship for you? And how does your stress impact how you're moving in that space?
So intimate relationships are important to me because I feel like having someone to be able to talk to about those things really helped me to process what I'm going through. Mm-hmm. Right now, I'm not really stressed in that area at all.
Are you she said at all, like I'm good, or at all, like nah, I'm good.
I'm kind of in a season of working on me because I had my first child at 16 years old. So from 16 up until I was like 28 years old, I was just living in survival mode. And when I started to find my identity, I started like loving who I am and taking care of who I am. So I'm kind of happy in this space and I'm enjoying it. So I'm positioning myself for marriage. I will say that, but I'm not in a rush right now.
You talk about that survival mode, scarcity mindset. So many of my friends either married, divorced, never married, all are exploring different chapters of what survival mode looks like. Are we making it harder than it is to survive?
I think people are, and I think it's really like that perfectionist, like that mindset. It literally hinders you in every aspect of your life. Like I feel like it's kind of bondage, like that perfectionist, because when you start something, I was in a place for a very long time of being a perfectionist, and I would start something, it wouldn't be perfect, so I would stop. So I would have all these projects that I would start, but I would never complete them, and then I would feel like, well, maybe I'm not supposed to do this.
I just had a flashback to my whole home office and the closet, right? Yeah, and the garage,
it comes from things. That. Yeah.
I think the other thing with survival or just looking at where we are in life is to stop comparing ourselves to other people in their story. And what I had to do was stop comparing myself to my 20-year-old dream.
Yes.
Because
tell me more.
Because you go back and you say, okay, I thought I was going to be doing this. I thought this was going to be happening in my life. And then you all of a sudden, you seem like you failed somewhere. But no, you didn't fail. This is the course your life took. And it's okay not to have accomplished that thing that you thought you were going to do at 20. You have to say, but look what I did do. Look at the things that I did do.
I want to spend a little bit more time too, because I know the two of you, you've written, you're authors, you've written books about how you have gotten here in this detox. But I want to offer just a little bit more wraparound service to our nerves. I know one of the things that we talked about in the show, prioritizing. So what do you say to women who are struggling with, you went through the list of all the things we're working on that we said we were going to get to, and we don't go home because the house is in such disarray, like I can't even look at it. What do you say to women about prioritizing?
I think
and what really we can let go.
Right. And that is the key right there. You can let go of some things. And perhaps maybe you're an officer in an organization and maybe this is the season you just need to be a member, you know? And we, you know, to shift and say, okay, that position or that organization served a need for me then, but it's not serving the same need for me now. And the key is you have to become the priority. You know, not the things, not the organizations, not the busyness. I had to become the priority in my own life and stop looking for somebody else to make me the priority.
Do you feel like a priority, Tamara? Like, do you feel like you are important?
That's a huge question.
I know.
I do feel like I'm a priority to many people. To myself, I am needing to find the answer.
Yeah. And I'm curious why, when we tell our sons, you are important, you are special, when we pour into our sons, right?
Yeah.
We make sure that they know how important they are in a world that's not so friendly. So why is it so hard for us to look into the mirror and have that same conversation?
Now, to ask myself, do I love myself? I love Tamara Dillard.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I could go to sleep looking at Tamara Dillard all the time. Like that's not a question.
This is no broken bird here.
No.
It's the bird trying to strengthen your wings.
Yeah, that's not a question. I love Tamara Dillard. That's not a question.
Good.
And I
It's
push
how do you
that
show
on
love to Tamara Dillard?
how I push that message to people all day, every day. You must love yourself like no other, like God loves you. So that is not a question. I pour so much into other people that there's very little time in the schedule left for me.
So let's pretend like you know your schedule for the next 2 weeks out, right? Is there something on that schedule, and this is for you and this is for me, is there something on that schedule that ended up there that we put there that somebody else didn't? Like, how much do we just end up doing this to ourselves? Like, they didn't ask you to go and do the XYZ P and Q. We put it on there because we feel like that's how we have to show up.
Yes.
So is there something on in the next 2 weeks that you can, you know what, I'm not going to be able to make that.
That is
and
very
replace
difficult for
that
me.
with some Tamara time.
That's the difficult part.
I have a question about that. Do you feel like people can't do it as good as you can? Is that why you...
Dun. You can't see. Did you catch the eyes there?
I don't have a poker face at all.
Is that why you want to be the last person to touch it?
For some things, but not for everything. I really do believe in transformational engagement as far as my workplace, as far as Opulent Home Care is concerned, and my employees. So I don't feel like I have to touch every single thing that comes through my, job or, my career space, But please go ahead.
I would ask you to change the word from perfectionist to I'm just going to do my best today. And my best today looks different from tomorrow. It looks different from yesterday. I had to do that because, there are different things going on in my life each and every single day. And I can only be the best Bernadette today, and then you don't worry about so much being a perfectionist. I did all I could do because I know how that feels. You don't want to leave the office until everything is done, till every I is dotted, till every T is crossed. Right. But you got to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And I get very little sleep sometimes.
Even on the weekends.
Yes, because I push things to the weekend like, I can show up to this event. I can show up to that event. I can...
When was the last time you had a weekend where you just didn't do anything?
I haven't done that.
So that's what Portia was saying.
So, and let me restate the question. So when was the last time? Literally, like months?
Maybe a year or so.
So let's all challenge her to have a weekend where you ain't doing jack squat for a minute.
If you have to.
Or maybe start off with a day.
Yeah.
If that seems too overwhelming for you.
Because you have a day, right?
Oh,
You have at least a half a day.
I have
Tell
my
us about that half a day.
My Wednesdays from 8 to 1, that's all about me.
Yeah.
Okay.
No patience,
no
phone calls.
no phone
Office
calls.
can't even call.
Right. And then Saturday morning, I spend 8 till noon. That's my writing time. That's when I am able to write and do the things that I want to do because I am a priority and I am important to me, you know. One of the things you just mentioned was, what could we do in the next two weeks? But I remember driving home from work one day feeling like exhausted, almost in tears because of my schedule. And I just thought about it, like, you're on all these committees because you put yourself on all of these committees. And I went home and took action. And I removed myself from those committees that day.
Did you feel relieved or guilty?
Oh, I felt so relieved. Guilt had no place that day. I just really felt relieved because I needed to deal with what I needed and my needs in that season of my life. So, you know, again, I keep going back to this because it's just so true. You got to continue reevaluating and reevaluating the roles that you're in, and do you still need to be in those roles?
You know, you say that, and it reminds me of when, you know, I used to, because I worked so late, so long in my career, I missed so many things when my boys were younger. And so I would make this really big deal out of making sure that I made these great lunches with personalized notes, because I was like, this is me making sure that you know you have a mama, right? And it was like, they know they have a mama. I'm fussing at them, right? They know if we are doing things, we're engaged. And so I remember I got up early one morning to go down and make the lunches, and my 15-year-old was like, I'm good. I already made it because I wanted 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And I was like, you can't have 2 you have to have one with the meat and the lettuce and the cheese. And I was like, no, you don't. So sometimes we just have to get to the point where we say, I'm giving myself permission to not make that a priority anymore. Absolutely. But I might fry some fish on Sunday and we're going to have a good time.
That's it.
Do you feel like that's something you can do, at least starting at home?
Yes.
Because your boys are good.
They are.
Your boys are really good.
They are. So I can start there.
Okay. I hope you don't feel like we're beating up on you.
No.
That email had us all feeling like we need to make sure Nurse Tamara is good.
Right. No, I put so many little parentheses of help me. Like,
there you go. Speaking of parentheses of help me, you do a lot of encouraging and helping others on social media. Sadie, first, just quickly tell people where they can find you on social media and what are you doing? Because you are out there.
So you can find
having a good
me
time taking care of yourself.
Yes. Sadie Mae Evans _coaching. And I also have a podcast called Soul Food with Sadie. It's all about the inner work. Facebook, the same, Sadie Mae Evans.
And
my
what do you
YouTube
show
channel.
them? What do you show them on your pages?
I really show people how to get to the root of their limits and beliefs so that they can design the life that they feel like they deserve. So I basically help them get through any type of trauma that they've been through. So basically, if you went through childhood trauma, I can help you to see lessons in that and apply it to your adulthood life so that you can use it for your good.
But I was talking too more about just, you know, some of the things that you do. You treat yourself.
Oh, yeah. So I take myself out to eat. And it's always funny when I go out to eat by myself because when I'm like table for one, they be like, really? I'm like, yeah. Is it odd? I didn't know it was an odd thing. I would go down to the Duluth, like the little downtown Duluth, sit on the grass with my shoes off, read a book, write, or things like that. I do my retreats every quarter at the hotel. I think that would be good for you to just go there, turn on some worship music, and just your downloads and just getting to know, you know, falling in love. I know you said you love yourself. I feel like when you really, really love yourself, a reflection that is shown at how you treat yourself. So like not being hard on yourself and not taking on more than you can handle. Because that is, I used to do that. That is a no. Now I literally schedule my days and my weeks because I'm like, I can't take on more.
That's good. All right, before we wrap up here quickly, doctors, tell folks where they can find you on social media.
So I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn at Dr. Bernadette MD.
Good conversation. Nurse Tamara, we wish you well in your journey.
Thank you so
of
much.
Getting over being a perfectionist, procrastinator, and a martyr. Because you are perfectly and wonderfully made.
Yes.
And we are grateful to get to share your stories. Ladies, thank you, all of you.
Thank you.
For sharing your stories on The Portia Show and here on Portia Raw and Real. We thank you for tuning in to another episode. Be sure to tell your friends about the show and the podcast. You can listen and watch this podcast wherever you get your favorite podcast. Add this one to the list, pretty please. We'll see you next time on Portia.